Hi, I'm Sean Tobin, and I'm the co-creator of Tongues.
Hi, my name's Jason Wee, and I'm the co-creator of Tongues with Sean Tobin.
I was very curious about how to explore notions of faith and sexuality in the public space, in a place like Singapore where it's seemingly discouraged.
I think one of the questions that when were asked between the two of us was how much could be expressed, how much if you how much could be expressed if you had the chance to say anything you want, but also conversely, how much could you express if there were things governing your expression, if there were things holding down what you can or cannot say, or there were some kind of, boundary, but also some kind of bond that ties up your voice somehow.
So obviously, it started with looking at how to work with Jason. I was very interested in the fact I like how vocabularies plot and approaches cross boundaries and disciplines. Yeah. So for me, Jason's very interesting because he writes, and he writes in for different types of audiences and platforms. And he is a visual artist who you cannot pin down. One minute he's photographing, the next minute he's painting or stitching something together or whatever. So for me, that's very interesting because I guess I liked the fact that he didn't seem to have boundaries. And I also know him as a person. I mean, I originally met him in theatre, just watching performances back in the Necessary Stage. So, for me, he's a person who, even though he hadn't made theatre, had watched a lot of theatre and even critiqued it. Yeah, so that was interesting to me. And he's open, yeah. And of course, I mean, if you look at Dirk and Sam and the performers, again, needs to be people who are just very different to each other. I like the discomfort and the challenge, and I like the fact that I'm going to learn something or be challenged in some way by working with someone who's very different to me. It's very rare that I pick someone who's similar to me in any way, actually, when I collaborate. I tend to choose actors for their personal qualities, not their acting qualities, because I just like, to me, they're more of a performer than an actor. And I know that at plenty of points in the play, they are being themselves. So are they interesting when they are themselves? Are they authentic? Are they engaging? Are they a little quirky? Yeah, so a lot of my writing in the piece, most of it actually, is very much a stream of conscious kind of reflective writing. So the actors actually had to use a lot of their own imagination and experimentation to shape it in performance. What Jason and I had decided was that the spine of the piece, if you will, structurally, was going to be a narrative that he was going to develop about these people in the morgue. Whereas and the pieces that I was going to create through improvisation and interviews and surveys and playback experiences was going to become kind of filaments in between, and organs and membranes and stuff. So that was the basic kind of structure, framing it from the beginning.
So as I'm writing the piece with Sean, part of the writing really is in the engagement with him as a person, then him as a writer, then him as a challenge to me as an artist. And all of these things happen together in such a way that as I write, part of my head thinks about the design. That is in some ways an entirely independent process. That when I write, I don't think this is going to be how it will be staged in the installation. And then as I think about the installation, I think, well, this is just how it's going to look as a set, rather than how the writing will be performed in that set. And again, back to an earlier question, it is really the kind of conversation that has developed between Sean and I, that in the kind of tension that exists between two such different people, that the way for certain things to move forward is to, in some ways, allow two independent things That in fact, when we try and merge into one very closed entity, where if we try and master between us a single vocabulary or a single grammar or a single visualization, even on something as simple as a photograph for publicity, it tends to crumble. That it in fact works best when he goes, "What do you think?" And I say something completely different, and then he says something completely different. And between the two something completely different things, we try and make something work.
There was a night where, in my opening address with the audience, when I ask a few things, are you here for political activism? Are you here for an orgy? This lady in the back seat, dressed very sexually, very sensual, and like she's going out clubbing, looking for men, or women. Sorry. She said, yeah, I'm here for an orgy, right? And she said it very loudly. She was very demonstrative and noticeable. She also was the first to jump up and be God at the end, and she played God at the end. And the way she draped herself on that platform, dressed as she was, to me, that just tied together the whole piece so perfectly. It was this great connection between spirituality and sensuality and sexuality, which was really nice. And yeah, that meant a lot to me, because to me, that was an example of an audience really connecting with the piece and shaping it somehow. And that makes the piece very different